Good morning, everyone. So I'm going to do a live scan of the market again. I'm going to make it a 15-minute setup, just leave it at that for now. 30 minutes, 1 hour, 4 hours, and daily. So starting off with Wall Street, the Dow, having a look. So the 15 minutes not ideal. We're trending upwards. We have a nice uptrend, confirmed uptrend on the daily. We have an uptrend on the 4 hourly. You can see we're a little bit away from the moving averages, and we're away from previous support and resistance. So we're a little bit overextended again on the 1 hour. So this is increased risk because I would prefer for price to come back down towards 24,850, somewhere around there, into the moving averages. And so we're setting up a potential head and shoulders here. Might break the low of that and then find that we come back down towards that 24,800 odd mark, down towards here. So I prefer to see that, so I'm just cautious of that. The S&P is the same situation. Overextended, you can see if you look at the previous cycles, overextended, has created a swing high. I'd like it to come back down towards 3,000 and then find an entry opportunity to the upside. Same thing with the NASDAQ, with US Tech. Same thing, but that'll come down a lot closer, potentially even towards 9,000, let's call it 9,550, 560. Look at the Russell 2000, same thing. So all of them, this is interesting. This is actually pulled back already, looking bullish. Not ridiculously overextended. If you look at the distance from price to moving averages here, not that bad. Headed away from the moving averages. So principally most of them are in a similar situation. Looking now at the FTSE, so I'm going to be keeping an eye on the close of today. So does it close as a bearish candle? Could this potentially then be a setup to head lower? But in the meantime, I'm actually also going to be looking at the 4 hours to see if we get a bullish candle set up here. Maybe during the US session, the market will climb higher, and so we'll actually finish higher for the day. So all of them are climbing to the upside, and I'm looking for long entries at least on the 1 and 4 hour, or at least looking for them to turn around before potentially taking entries on the lower time frames. Germany, this is the DAX. Similar situation, overextended over here, potentially looking to come back down towards 11,350, back into this area. I've got to see that. So basically, the idea is the same. Pretty much overextended on the sort of either the 4 hour, 1 hour, and needing to come back. Also just taking note that the Hang Seng is actually in a downtrend, going from a high to a low, to a lower high, to a lower low. And so this is effectively going to potentially find some resistance here that it's going to encounter, and therefore this trend could change. So just a little bit more cautious on that. Look at the Nikkei, overextended a bit to the upside. So all of these are a little bit overdue for a pullback to the downside, and some of them are within an uptrend and some are within a downtrend, but mostly looking for these to pull back down. I'm not going to trade them to the downside. It's a little bit too high risk for me for now. I'd rather wait for the 1 hour and 4 hour, which just really means waiting a few hours to see how they settle down. Look at the US dollar basket. So this has been heading away from that $100 level. If you look here, you can see a rejection of the $100 level. It is still within a range. So just noting that, I'd like to see it break the range before looking for more confidently for shorts to the downside. So not seeing much there, which means that euro dollar is doing the same thing. So euro dollar is now stuck within its range, and I'd rather be committing to trending moves once it breaks above that 1.1 level. Looking at sterling. Sterling is now almost in an uptrend on the daily, again having broken to the downside and coming back up to test that level. The problem is, of course, as it goes into a downtrend and then back into an uptrend, and so it's just becoming quite range-like and vulnerable. But you can see the biggest moves in this case are actually coming from that US dollar. It's almost a set playbook. You can see the dollar heading lower, so you can see Euro, GBP, Aussie, and Kiwi all just climbing to the upside. And that's very much a US dollar playbook. This is not so much about the Aussie or the Kiwi. Looking at dollar yen is heading lower as well, so it's a weaker US dollar. Dollar Swissy is heading lower, so that's a weaker US dollar. And dollar CAD is heading lower. So look, some really nice trends here. Very, very cool. I just need to make sure that I know where that bottom is. Okay, so the quality of these are great, but they're just a shorter term move. Means that as I head into these support levels, there's going to be some buyers at those levels. Look at Euro GBP. Not the best one. It's coming back into an area where if it is going to resume the uptrend, it's going to be doing it here. So be cautious there. Euro Aussie. This is very cool. So we're starting to potentially break through this level of support. I want to keep an eye on that because we're right at that level now. If I go here and just look at it, I'm right at that level. So I'm just going to place, for now, just place a level there so I can keep an eye on it. So that's really my concern, is just seeing how price reacts at that level. But this does appear to be setting up to break through that level to head lower. So that's definitely going to be one on my watch list at least. Euro Kiwi heading lower. So there could be some shorting opportunities on Euro pairs to the downside cautiously. Euro Yen pushing to the upside. That's obviously maintained that uptrend on the daily. So that looks pretty good there. Just showing that the euro is weakening against that Japanese yen. And again, we've got Euro CAD, but it's very choppy. So I'm not a fan of that. So Euro Yen I prefer to Euro Swissy and Euro CAD. Okay, they're both just, those are just a little bit too choppy. Now, moving on to the GBP crosses. Really nice downtrend, pull back into the moving averages. Looks as though it wants to continue heading lower, but it's just very choppy. So the trend is bearish, just that it's not a pretty one. Same thing with pound Kiwi. Let's look at pound yen. Is that climbing to the upside? So this I quite like, because at least here we almost have a confirmed uptrend here. We haven't broken this high here, but you can see that euro yen, pound yen are and dollar yen, okay, with the exception of the weaker dollar here. But if we look at this, euro yen, pound yen, let's see what Aussie yen is doing. Aussie yen climbing as well. So what you can see on the crosses, at least the Japanese yen is certainly weakening across the board, at least against the other pairs. Kiwi yen also climbing. So you can see that correlation between euro yen, GBP yen, and Aussie yen and Kiwi yen. So pound Swissy trying to climb to the upside there. I prefer pound yen of the two, and certainly prefer pound yen or pound Swissy to pound CAD. It's just too choppy. It's not ideal, and it's range bound, very much within the daily, going largely sideways. Aussie Kiwi, just a mess. If you look at it here, you can see it's also range bound for the last 5 or 6 days. Don't like that. Look at that 30-minute time frame is just a blender, so that'll just take your money away from you. Aussie Swissy, we know Aussie yen is bullish, Aussie Swissy is climbing as well. So basically we can see some of the Swissy crosses, some of the yen crosses are trending upwards in a pretty decent fashion. Aussie CAD as well. The best, all of them I think so far, would be the Aussie yen crosses. I mean the yen crosses, sorry. Kiwi yen, Kiwi Swissy, and Kiwi CAD's not on my list, but you can see again trending to the upside. Just keeping an eye on those resistance levels. Again, I prefer the yen crosses. They're my favorites so far. Let's have a look at CAD yen, trending very nicely. Even on the 5 minutes, that's going to be really nice. Let's have a look. There we go. So there are some potential opportunities there. But 15 minutes, I'll get a better ratio of my position size in relation to my spread. And CAD Swissy, not so great. So there's quite a few. So it's the best ones on my watch list so far. Waiting for the indices to settle later in the day. And intraday trading, liking the yen crosses the most. Let's look at gold. So gold has pulled back into this area. This is a really good area for gold to turn around and head up. Okay, so it's still going sideways, hasn't really done anything yet. Silver has managed to produce that swing low. It's looking nice and bullish so far. That's okay. Let's look at crude. Crude overall is still looking nice and bullish, but it is now starting to enter into that territory where it can turn around. So keeping an eye on that. If I look at the weekly, for example, it's a lot higher. Then going down to Bitcoin. Okay, so Bitcoin, there's a bit of a spike here, which I think is more of an anomaly with IG index's price. It may not be Bitcoin itself. And overall, there's no clear trend. So I'm absolutely staying away with this. It says lower highs and lower lows, if I can count that as a valid price move. Ether does not have the same spike, but there's no clear trend. So there's really no money-making opportunities on either of these pairs. They're just way too choppy and volatile. There's no clear direction, and they're all sitting at key resistance levels. So there's absolutely nothing there. Best charts so far appear to be JPY crosses on several of those pairs.